return to my original self again. After I entered the far plane, I stayed there for a couple of years, meditating and seeing my family. Seasonbringer told me I had to trust my draconic instincts, and I did, with difficulty. Then my body returned to normal, and when I saw Sora, he hugged me and asked,
"How did you return to normal?"
I told him I had to trust the inner dragon. I returned to the rich snob's mansion and busted down the doors after I went into my dragon form and yelled, "Now that I got your attention, it ends now." Then I went Super Saiyan and said in a deep, threatening voice, "I will rip out your hearts, eat them, then crap out your souls. You will taste oblivion, which tastes like Red Bull, which is disgusting." Then they sent guards on me and I used my energy to throw them aside. I went back to my original form. Sided with Alucard. Before I knew it, something bit me and I blacked out. When I woke up, I was in a bed with an IV in my arm putting blood back into my body. I asked, "Where am I?" A girl said,
"You're in the Helsing Organization mansion."
Then I asked, "What bit me?" She responded,
"It was my master."
"Your master?"
"Yes, my master is Alucard."
Right when I heard that, I froze and said, "Alucard? I've heard about him." Then Alucard appeared and said, "Your training will begin shortly." I asked, "Training? Don't you know who I am? I'm the god of destruction." Then after I entered the training facility, I began my Helsing training.
10 hours later,
I finished my training and asked Alucard, I want to learn how to do control restriction level 1. Alucard did teach me the control restriction technique. I set the theme song to blow me away and I helped Alucard kill ghouls, which was fun. I mainly used my claws and my swords and Alucard gave me a sweet gun, the double-barreled Helix Magnum, which is one of the strongest guns in the world. Let's just say it could go through 14 solid concrete buildings with one shot. I showed Alucard my samurai. He wasn't impressed until I shot it. He told me it was going to be useful for killing ghouls. Later that night, I searched for something that could be used to make a UV weapon that could slice a vampire like butter, and I finally found all the parts to make it, although it took me a couple of nights to make it. Alucard said, "That won't work." I decided to test it against a host vampire, and it worked. The vampire turned to ash. Then I said to Alucard, "You said it wouldn't work," but I did. I decided to make one of my main weapons for hunting vampires. I also made a Hell Angel chaotic 100 cal cannon with liquid nitrogen and UV slugs. I made this kind of gun to send everything in a 2-mile long radius to hell. I made a full auto silver stake gun which can shoot a stake 3 miles in a second. I also had to pick up all my guns, ammo from Kagone, and I told her I'm with Helsing now, helping out by killing ghouls, which are zombies. She then gave me a crystal that would prevent me from going demon. I took it anyways, but I wanted to go demon when I'm in real trouble. The true race against time again and Blade's death. I followed Alucard to a portal. I knew the dark portal very well. It was a Chaos portal. I said to Alucard, I will fight alone this time because Chaos and I have a score to settle and I'm going to seal the Eye of Terror for good. Alucard said, "Don't get yourself killed." I said, "No problem. If there are vampires, I'm well equipped to send them to hell." Little did I know the fight I was going into would be harder than I expect. After I entered the portal, it closed. I set my theme song to Du Hast, and I sat down and pulled Tetsume out and waited for the song to begin, and when it did, I jumped up onto my feet and began to slaughter them. Then I heard a gunshot and saw Alucard with both guns drawn. I nodded to him. Both Alucard and I did control restriction, and I pulled out my double-barreled Helix Magnum and loaded it and opened fire. It was insane because it blew a lot of demons to hell. Then I set my theme song to blow me away. Then the battle escalated by warping me to worlds that Chaos took and zombies and demons appeared on the worlds. I yelled in German, "Du hast no fear can hold it," to the zombies and demons. They rushed me fatal mistake. I set my theme song to blow me away. I went Super Saiyan while doing control restriction, which means you're fucked if you catch me in a real bad mood, which is right now. I brutally killed the zombies and demons using my claws and Tetsume, then I got slashed across the back by something's claws when I turned around. Corrupted blade. This time I really gotta kill him for good. It pulled the Slayer of Souls out and I fought it. While fighting it, it gave me 2 scars, one on my chest and the other on my right cheek. That's when I decided to go all out by going full power, and that's when I became reckless. I destroyed all the worlds they took, which I proved to have mastered the system destruction skill. Corrupted blade stabbed his claws into my chest and ripped my heart out of my body. Alucard saw it. Before I breathed my last, he bit me and my eyes flashed pure white, and my heart in his hand melted and moved towards me and fused with my body, and I stood up extremely pissed and used my Omega form control restriction level 1 Hell Angel attack and blew Corrupted Blade's upper half into oblivion, and I yelled, "On your knees, I want you to beg for forgiveness!" In a unified voice. Then I heard,
Chaos Blast!
I said, "Shad!" When I turned around, Spin was standing behind me. I said, "Spin, thanks for the backup. I was getting my ass kicked, and now that you're here, you can also have some fun." Spin nodded and went super, and I broke my power restraints that held me in sanity. When I did that, I thought, screw the restraints. This is the perfect place to show Chaos what I'm really made of. I set my theme song to Assault, and I yelled, "This is it, you motherfuckers! I'm not in the goddamn fucking mood to confront you in Committee of Accountability, so I'll kill you now!" And I fully powered up, and when Spin saw it, he was scared that the last time he saw me, I was very weak, but now I'm the strongest known wolf in the entire universe. The ultimate creature. While I was fighting my corrupted self, a huge fist came out of nowhere and smashed a couple of demons. When I turned to see who it was, Chaos Blade stabbed me with his claws and I retaliated, delivering a swift, painful kick to the face of him, and then blood went flying, and what that fist belonged to was no other than a huge fucking shark. I saw how big its teeth were. My only guess was it was a mutant. Then it spoke.
"So this is where you have been all this time, killing such weaklings."
I screamed, "Weaklings! I have a fucking grudge against these ugly motherfuckers, and I won't stop until the Eye of Terror is destroyed." It responded,
"I want you to finish this fight with the demons and come to my island. I want to speak to you."
I finally got very sick and tired of Chaos and my corrupted self, so I did the full synchro control restriction level 1 angel arm just to kill Chaos. It did a nice job doing so, but it did not destroy Chaos completely, so Alucard, Spin, and myself combined our powers together and finally sealed the Eye of Terror for now. Then I found the shark creature and I said, "Well, I'm here." It looked at me and said,
"Show me your strength."
And I went full synchro and charged. It sidestepped and punched square in the face. I completely underestimated it, and it picked me up by my neck and slammed me into a tree. It said,
"Pathetic."
And used a shoulder cannon on my chest. That's when I decided to go full power. I broke my mental restraints and went to my final form. I looked at Hit with pure silver eyes and said, "Big mistake." I pulled Tetsume out and set my theme song to blow me away and used the wind scar. It dodged it and charged me. I dodged it, but somehow it was faster than I thought. And it nailed me in the back and managed to restrain me. Then it said,
"Is that it? Your full power? You are pathetic."
I said, "That was only a small bit of my power. Wait and see the power of the sacred sides." It laughed, and I engaged my armor and pulled my keyblade out and said, "May hell break loose and death to those who oppose me." And I powered up to the ancient god of destruction, and when I reached my full power, the island was shaking apart from my power, and I channeled my energy into a strong enough blast to kill it and destroy half the galaxy. It saw I was trying to destroy the world. It said,
"Enough. You are worthy of a warrior."
I powered down to my regular self and collapsed due to the fatigue of using so much energy to go full power. It picked me up and slung me over its shoulder and picked up my sword, and that's when I passed out. Craidon. When I came around, I was in a bed, with bandages around my chest and in a strange-looking house. I thought, where am I? And how did I get here? When it came in, it said,
Good, you're awake. I got some food for you. By the way, how you feeling?
I responded, like shit. Why did you have to do that?
Do what?
Blast me with that cannon on your shoulder. And how the fuck are you faster than me?
I was made that way.
I thought it must be an experiment like I was. I asked, are you an experiment?
Yeah, I was until I broke free. Why'd you ask?
It was hard to say the truth about me because I'm one as well. The humans made me into a weapon for war without a heart. It said,
Wow, no wonder you have a grudge against science.
I responded harshly, I do not. I just hate being in a laboratory. It said,
I guess you are the psychopath I heard about.
Yeah, I am. So, what's your point?
I have no point. By the way, what's your name?
The name's Blade. Blade Dragon Fang. Right when I said that, it backed up a few feet and looked at me and said,
You're Blade Dragonfang. I don't believe it. Impossible. I thought you were just a myth.
I just said, yeah, and the proof is I'm standing right in front of you, so do you require more proof? It said,
No, I don't. But I have a question for you.
I said, go ahead. It asked,
What are the sacred sides?
I sighed and said, the sacred sides are Saiyan, Wolf, Demon, Horketa, and Dragon. With all the sides united, you're almost invincible. I found a way to become invincible by using the Super Ice Emeralds in full synchro, which means you are a force to be reckoned with. Then I asked, I still don't have your name yet, so what is it? It said,
Craidon.
I said, nice to meet you, but I have a question. It said,
What's your question?
I said, your scent. It smells like the sea and a human. It said,
I'm a half megalodon, half human.
I thought it must be a hybrid. Then I asked, when I hit you with a kick, how come it felt like I hit metal? It responded,
Most of my body is cybernetic, except my brain, spinal cord, and my balls.
I laughed out because I found it funny, and out of fear. I then said, so you're a male like me, right? He said,
Yeah, I'm a male, with a badass body.
I agreed with him because I also have a badass body. Revenge against the scientists and chaos. He showed me all of his weapons, which were huge even though he's at least 12 feet high. Then he showed me his armor, which was made of coconut and metal. I asked, what's with the Madu fruit and metal combined? How much protection will it give you when an armor-piercing round would go right through it like it is butter? He said,
My skin is tougher than a tank, so they won't be able to kill me that easily.
I told him that I needed more ammo and weapons before we could even walk to the Pentagon to even make our point to live in peace without getting shot at by the military and struck with artillery, he told me.
You don't have to worry, I've walked to the Pentagon, with guns firing at me, and I even threw a tank into 5 others.
I whistled in a surprised tone. Then I said, but before we can do that, I want you to meet some of my friends. Later that night, I called Zero, Sora, Seasonbringer, and Alucard to meet me on an island, and when they came, I walked out of the shadows of a full moon with Craidon walking behind me. One look at him, and they drew their weapons ready to fight when I told them to calm down. They looked at me like I went insane. When I told them of the plan, they somewhat agreed, but I told them, I want to show the government that I am a living creature as well, not a weapon. I want to tell them, I have a heart, and I care about my friends, family, and my destiny. When the plan was made, Craidon and I positioned ourselves at least 30 miles from the Pentagon and gave the president a note that said, casualties are unavoidable, for hell will follow us as we come to stand. Signed, Devil Will Cry. The president already knew that name belonged to. Zero already tapped all radio frequencies, and we heard the president say,
Block the Pentagon from the terrorists.
Sora reported to us that all roads to the White House and Pentagon are blocked off. I said, well then, shall we make our stand? Craidon nodded, and we began to walk, fully armed for a slaughter.
It was unbelievable that the Angel of Death was walking to us just to kill and destroy everything to make us near invincible. Then I got a call saying,
It's Blade. He's with the Curia, and he looks pissed.
I shifted nervously in my chair as the seconds ticked by and he was getting closer to me.
The streets were empty and there were barricades and tanks set up to kill me, but that didn't stop me. I set my theme song to blow me away and pulled Tetsume out, and Craidon pulled 2 swords and asked me to make it rain. And I did! Then he used some sonic blast that disintegrated the blockade. That scared me because he could use the same attack against me if he wanted to. I pulled out my caster shotgun, loaded it, and pointed at the tanks and pulled the trigger. It vaporized the tanks and continued walking towards the Pentagon. No matter how many barricades, tanks, and soldiers there were, we continued to mow them down as we advanced. When we got to the front gate of the Pentagon, we blew down the front gate, and I had Tetsume drawn and ready for using the Hell Wind Scar to destroy the Pentagon if it comes down to that point. Organization 13. We walked up to the front doors and blew the doors in, but right when we entered, there were some people in black robes. I then heard Sora say in a harsh tone,
Organization 13? Why the fuck are they here?
I said, so that's the organization you told me about. They look pathetic, so this will me a warm-up before I get ready to beat the shit out of the president. I started to rush them, then one of them pulled a keyblade out. That surprised me, but I used Tetsume and its full power to break the opponent's keyblade in half and put the tip of my blade against its throat and said, that was pathetic. Now stand up and remove your hood so I can see your face. It did so, and when I saw its face, I said, Roxas, what the fuck are you doing with the organization? They're just an obstacle in my way. So please step aside. He did, and I said thank you. I then turned to the organization, set my theme song to blow me away, and said, I'm going to make your lives a living hell! And I went Super Saiyan Stage 2 and started walking towards them with the look of massacre in my eyes, and I used Tetsume when it came on. I clearly went insane due to the fact I was enjoying every drop of blood spilling on the floor. Craidon was about to help me out when I told him, this is my fight and my fight only. He respected that because he saw I held a grudge for something he didn't know about me.
Roxas looked very unsure he should help Blade kill the organization, or to stop him. I heard him say,
Blade's right, I should help him, for being complete assholes to me.
I stood shocked because of what I just heard, then Roxas ran in with both
keyblades out, and when I turned to see what was entering the fight, it was Roxas, and I could tell he held some grudge. I said, welcome to the party, and changed my theme song to Heart of the Sword. I put Tetsume away and pulled my keyblades out, and when Roxas saw my keyblades, he got surprised. I nodded to him, and he nodded back, and we both charged, mowing every single member of that goddamn organization to hell. It was a massacre. Chaos Blade returns, and the truth about the experiment. After Roxas and I murdered Organization 13, Roxas and I rushed through the halls and corridors of the Pentagon. While doing that, I felt the cold, dark feeling of chaos. Roxas saw my expression go to concern. He asked,
What's wrong?
I responded, terrified. They're here, waiting for me, waiting to kill me and take my soul. He asked,
Them? Who are they?
I could only mutter, Chaos.
What?
Chaos, the demons of the warp. They willingly corrupt those who desire power. It was hard to say. I was one of their greatest slaves until I broke free and made an oath to destroy Chaos for good. He looked at me like I said something scary. I told him the truth. As we closed in on the door on the end of a hallway, the feeling became stronger and my demon side wanted to taste fresh blood. We stopped and I was right. Chaos was here, but on the other side of this door. Zero, Sora, Craidon, Seasonbringer, and Alucard finally found Roxas and I, and Sora said,
So this is the place Chaos finally appeared. It was stupid for it to come here.
I said, Roxas, stay with the others. I'm going alone because it's me it wants. Before I could walk away, Roxas stepped in front of me and said,
I want to come too and see this chaos.
Before I could say no, the others joined him, and I said finally, alright, you can come, but let me walk in first. I of course kicked the door down and the place was covered in demons, and right in front of the horde was no other than the president himself. I said, "Why would you allow chaos to appear in this world?" He just laughed and said,
I did it just so I can continue the research on your fighting capabilities, and I see you hold a grudge against it.
I said quietly, "Shut up." Then he said,
Face it, you can't escape.
I then screamed,
Shut the fuck up.
and charged him, but before I could even slash him with a keyblade, something hit me straight out of the air. When I saw who it was, my hatred for chaos peaked. Chaos Blade! I stood up and I heard a heart beating, then a lot of energy welled up, and before I knew it, my body began to glow.
I could not believe what I was seeing. Blade somehow was tapping into the drive mode. Then it happened. He released the energy and his clothes changed color to pure white, and he was hovering looking surprised, and his keyblades were hovering around him, and he looked at Chaos Blade with a murderous smile.
I felt more powerful while I was in this former stage. I heard Sora yell to me.
Go! Kill it before that form expires!
I nodded and rushed it. When I used the Keyblades, it damaged Chaos Blade badly. I set my theme song to blow me away and said, "May hell welcome you," and tried to use the Wind Scar, and I found out I could use it while in this form. I decided to push my luck and go to full power, and when I did, the form changed. My clothes were pure silver, and my hair was white silver blue color, and my eyes were pure silver, and my Keyblades changed to the Ultimate Weapon and Ultimate Weapon Plus, which means you're extremely fucked when you see me in this form. And in the bad mood I'm in right now, I set my theme song to Du Hast and said, "There will be no mercy," and charged. It could not keep up with me because of my speed and strength, and because I'm wielding the two strongest Keyblades in the world, and I'm in a new form. No matter how strong it tried to keep up with me, it couldn't, because my power level kept escalating, and I used the double Wind Scar, and it blasted the Wind Scar away, and his blast was coming at me, and since his demonic aura is stronger, I used the Backlash Wave and sent his attack right back at him. The Backlash Wave tore its body apart, and I used a new move that I just learned. Hell's Warm Welcome. It is when I swing both Keyblades straight down onto my opponent, breaking their neck, then doing a full fury of lethal blows to the chest, arms, and head. Then the finishing blow is full of destructive energy that shoots up, engulfing them. Then the energy becomes the fire from hell, thus incinerating the opponent while I continue to beat the shit out of him. It destroyed him, and I looked at the rest of Chaos and said, "Who's next?" Chaos looked at each other and rushed me. In blink of an eye, I was standing with my Keyblades in the after running slash, and they turned and rushed me again, and their horde began to collapse. I set my theme song to blow me away, and the president sent the army at me, and I just smirked and slashed the army to pieces. After the soldiers collapsed, I rushed and used Hell's Warm Welcome on the president, thus killing him. The aftermath. And the new form's name. After I killed the corrupted president, I walked out of the Pentagon in my new form, Keyblade still drawn, Roxas, Zero, Sora, Craidon, and Alucard walking right behind me. All the news crews were standing outside waiting to see who killed who, and when I walked out, they all gasped and began to ask questions to me. I told them shut up, they didn't listen, so I screamed.
Shut the fuck up! I'm not in the fucking mood to answer your goddamn fucking questions!
They backed up a few feet, then they tried to do it again. That's when I used the Wind Scar and it cleared a path for me. Sora and Roxas kept telling the reporters to leave me alone and they didn't listen. Sora told me this and I just stood up from where I sat down and slashed the video cameras and microphones. And I killed a couple of them just to show them this is not the perfect time to piss me off farther, and it worked.
3 months later.
I was in the farplane training when Roxas and Sora appeared and said,
You were incredible in that fight.
I responded, yeah, but now I have a new form to master. Sora then said,
I made a name for that form.
I said, okay, what's its name?
Insane form. How do you like it?
I responded, nah, too lame. How about Chaos Hunter form?
That's a good name for it. Roxas, how do you like that name for the new form?
Sora asked. Roxas responded,
I like it.
Then Sora said,
It's decided. The new form's name is Chaos Hunter form. The end.